Y'all want to sign too, Grimy? Look at these two dudes, Yui and Nipsey Hussle. On the block.
Big U's son has been taken out.
It's been chaos ever since the tragic murder of Big U's son, Jabari Henley, on Halloween night. And right now, things have taken a shocking turn. In retaliation, Nipsey's affiliates, who believe Big U was behind their homie's murder, just leaked explosive footage of Big U's final moments with his son. And trust me, you won't believe what's in it. Let's break it down. The footage that resurfaced a painful past. In the treacherous world of LA street politics, where your reputation is everything and violations get handled with extreme prejudice, sometimes a single piece of old footage can bring back all the smoke, like the beef never died. Late October 2025, an Instagram live video started circulating through the hood, grainy throwback footage showing 3 real ones posted up on a Crenshaw corner, kicking it like blood when times were still solid. The clip featured Eugene Big U Henley alongside the late Nipsey Hussle and Big U's youngin, Jabari Baby Wee Henley, captured back when the trio represented hope for South LA's come up, and nobody could have predicted the tragedy about to pop off. What should have been a beautiful tribute to better days instead became the match that would light a whole powder keg of anger, street politics, and ultimately unspeakable tragedy that shook the whole city. The footage itself is real authentic, just under a minute of genuine hood conversation, the kind of raw moment that defined their world before the fame, federal indictments, and funerals tore everything to shreds. Big U can be heard narrating the scene, his voice carrying that unmistakable pride of both an OG mentor and a father watching his seed navigate the game.
Yeah. We still out here. Hey, well, you did. Hey, we on tape, man. Y'all don't want to sign too, Grimy. Y'all want to sign too, Grimy. Look at these two dudes, Yui and Nipsey Hussle. On the block.
To understand why this innocent footage would provoke such straight venom from Big U and set off a deadly chain reaction through the streets, we gotta break down who these 3 soldiers were and the empire they were trying to build together before everything went left. Nipsey Hussle, born Ermias Joseph Asghedom on August 15, 1985, wasn't just some Grammy-nominated rapper. My mans was a true visionary who peeped game beyond the gang-infested blocks of Crenshaw to a future where black economic empowerment could break cycles of poverty and violence that had been running rampant for generations. Coming up in the heart of Rollins 60s neighborhood Crips territory with an Eritrean immigrant father and African-American mother, Nipsey embodied contradictions that would define his short but impactful legacy in these streets. By 2018, his album Victory Lap had debuted at number 4 on the Billboard 200, earning that Grammy nomination and moving 53,000 units first week off the strength. But his real legacy wasn't about them record sales. It was about that marathon clothing store he owned outright, that Vector 90 STEM hub he built for the shorties in the hood, and that entire Crenshaw block he copped for $4.5 million to keep wealth circulating within the black community instead of bleeding out to corporate entities and gentrifiers. Eugene Big U Henley, born around 1967, walked a different but parallel path through these same treacherous streets. A certified Rollin 60s affiliate who'd caught a bid for attempted murder back in '96. Big U came home from the penitentiary in 2004, claiming transformation and redemption through the system. He founded the Community Intervention Alliance in 2005, positioning himself as a peacemaker who could broker truces between rival gang sets that had been sliding on each other for generations. In 2009, when Nipsey was still a hungry independent artist grinding in the trenches, he signed a 10-year management deal with Big U's Unique Music, and their partnership would help shape West Coast hip-hop culture for the next decade. Big U put Nipsey on game with the all money in model, self-distribution, ownership over everything, no major label chains strangling creativity or profits. This philosophy would become the foundation of Nipsey's entire business empire and the marathon mentality that inspired a whole generation. And then there was Jabari Baby Wee Henley, Big U's seed, caught between 2 worlds he never asked to navigate through. Born March 15th, 1991, Jabari wasn't no street legend like his pops or a star athlete like his brother Dian Henley, who was balling out as a linebacker for the LA Chargers. Jabari was working as a warehouse supervisor at a logistics firm in Compton, dropped music occasionally under the name Baby Wee, and by all accounts was trying to live a quieter existence away from the spotlight that consumed his father and claimed Nipsey's life. Friends consistently described him as someone who stayed out the way, avoiding the active gang life despite being born into it through bloodline. He had a 10-year-old daughter he was trying to raise right, trying to break generational curses that had destroyed so many families before his. The footage resurfaced at a particularly volatile moment in Los Angeles street politics, when tensions were already at an all-time high. By March 2025, Big U had been indicted on devastating federal RICO charges, 43 counts, accusing him of running a mafia-like enterprise through the Rollin 60s Crips. The indictment painted a picture far removed from the reformed peacemaker he claimed to be: conspiracy to commit murder for hire in the 2021 killing of rapper Rayshawn Rocky Williams over a diss track, extortion from over 50 marijuana dispensaries disguised as protection fees funneled through his non-profit, human trafficking involving forced labor at his music label, and bank fraud totaling $1.2 million in misused COVID-19 relief loans, straight finessing the system. Big U was being held without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles, facing a potential life sentence with a trial scheduled for May 2026. His attorney had withdrawn from the case in September 2025 due to conflicts, leaving him to represent himself against the full weight of the federal government coming down on his head. But the RICO charges weren't even Big U's biggest problem in the court of public opinion and street reputation. Since Nipsey's murder on March 31st, 2019, conspiracy theories had been swirling around Big U's potential involvement, theories that refused to die no matter how many times they got debunked by facts. Eric Holder Jr. was convicted in February 2022 and sentenced to 60 years to life for Nipsey's murder, with the trial making crystal clear this was about personal beef and snitching accusations, not some elaborate hit orchestrated by Big U from the shadows. But facts rarely matter when narratives are more compelling, and the narrative of Big U as Nipsey's betrayer had taken deep root in certain corners of social media and the streets where people were looking for someone to blame. Loose Cannon, a fellow Rollin 60s affiliate and music executive, had dropped explosive claims in 2024, alleging that Big U had called him 30 minutes before Nipsey's murder with ominous warnings about handling the ermious noise. Cannon testified that he dismissed it as bluster at the time, but looking back with hindsight, he believed it was Big U setting something deadly in motion. These claims, never substantiated with phone records, never mentioned in Eric Holder's trial, never backed by actual evidence, became gospel truth to those who wanted to believe Big U was guilty of setting up the hit. Even more damaging was footage that surfaced showing Big U's reaction when someone mentioned Nipsey during an Instagram live session. During what appeared to be a casual conversation with homies, someone in the background could be heard saying "justice for Nip," and Big U's response would be weaponized against him for years to come in the streets and online.
See the clip when he was live? Okay, but and they said "justice for Nip." Wait.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
And what did he do? He started laughing.
Justice for Nip.
That laugh, whether it was nervous, inappropriate, or completely misunderstood out of context, became proof to his ops and detractors that Big U had something to do with Nipsey's death, that he was straight disrespecting the memory of the man he claimed to love like a son. The more Big U denied involvement, the more suspicious it looked to those already convinced of his guilt in the streets. Whack 100, Nipsey's former manager, became one of Big U's most vocal critics and loudest ops, alleging in a February 2024 No Jumper episode that Big U had provided information to federal investigators during a 2018 RICO probe that indirectly led to Nipsey being targeted as a snitch. These were serious accusations coming from someone who'd been in Nipsey's inner circle, someone who claimed to know things the public didn't about what really went down. Charleston White added even more explosive claims to the conspiracy mill, alleging physical altercations between Big U and Nipsey's family over money and control, suggesting the murder was about power and extortion rather than the snitching narrative that got Eric Holder convicted.
Homie, they killed Nip too. Let's not forget, homie. They killed Nipsey Hussle. Eric Holder was not a lone actor in that. If you go back and follow the details, Nip and Big U got into it. Big U hit Nip Daddy across the head with a bat. His brother had to come out and shoot the gun.
So when the old Instagram live footage of Big U, Nipsey, and Jabari together resurfaced in late October 2025, it hit multiple raw nerves simultaneously throughout the hood. But what nobody could have predicted was that within 72 hours, one of the 3 men in that video would be laid out in the morgue, and the internet would erupt with celebrations disguised as street justice finally being served. Halloween night turns to horror. The hit went down at approximately 11:11 p.m. on October 31st, 2025, at the intersection of South Figueroa Street and West 69th Street in the heart of South Los Angeles, Vermont's Slauson neighborhood where the streets don't sleep. Jabari Henley had pulled up to a small, independently owned smoke shop that locals called Fig and 69 Smoke Spot, the kind of corner store that exists in every hood across America, selling Swisher Sweets, energy drinks, and lottery tickets to a community that's been grinding on these corners for generations. The area sits in what has historically been Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips territory, though the shop itself had no documented gang affiliations, according to LAPD Gang Impact Team assessments. It was just a business trying to survive in a neighborhood where survival itself is a daily negotiation with death.
And I want to talk about, Big U. His son was assassinated last night out there in LA. Absolutely nasty work, man. Again, Big U, his son, Baby Huey, or Big Huey, right? He was assassinated last night on Halloween out there in LA.
Eyewitnesses who were present that Halloween night, including 2 civilians who had just exited the shop and a nearby food truck vendor serving late night munchies, described what went down with chilling consistency that painted a clear picture. A black or dark colored sedan, possibly a late model Toyota Camry or Honda Accord based on partial descriptions, pulled up to the curb with deliberate purpose like they were on a mission. Jabari approached the whip from the sidewalk, and for about 10 to 15 seconds, he appeared to be chopping it up with whoever was inside through the passenger side window, the kind of casual exchange that happens 1,000 times a day on Los Angeles streets without incident. Then, everything exploded into straight violence that would leave another young black man dead. At least 7 rounds erupted from what shell casings would later suggest was a 9mm or .40 caliber semi-automatic pole, the gunfire echoing off buildings and shattering the Halloween night air. Jabari caught 4 hot ones with devastating precision, twice in the torso, upper chest, and abdomen, once in the left arm and once in the thigh. He collapsed near the shop's entrance, clutching his side as blood pooled beneath him on the pavement, while the sedan bent the corner northbound on Figueroa, hanging a right onto 68th Street and vanishing into the maze of South LA streets before anyone could get a license plate number or clear identification of the shooters. First responders from LA Fire Department Station 46 pulled up at 11:14 p.m., finding Jabari unresponsive with agonal breathing, those final gasping attempts the body makes when it's fighting for survival against catastrophic trauma that's too severe to overcome. Paramedics initiated CPR immediately on the blood-stained pavement, administering chest compressions with mechanical precision and pushing 2 doses of epinephrine via IV in a desperate attempt to bring him back from the brink. But the damage was too catastrophic, the blood loss too severe, the wounds too deadly. At 11:28 p.m., after detecting no pulse and seeing no response to their life-saving efforts, the paramedics made the call every first responder dreads making: Jabari Baby Wee. Henley was pronounced dead at the scene. His body left for LAPD homicide detectives and the coroner, while his spirit joined the long list of young black men whose lives got cut short on these streets before they could reach their full potential. The Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner coroner would later conduct the autopsy under case number 2025-04512, confirming what everyone already knew from the crime scene: death by multiple gunshot wounds, with contributing factors including hemorrhagic shock and laceration of the left pulmonary artery that caused him to bleed out rapidly. Preliminary toxicology results showed no alcohol or controlled substances in Jabari's system. This wasn't about being high or slipping. This wasn't about poor judgment or being caught lacking. This was about being born with a certain last name that made him a target in a city where bloodlines can be death sentences. The manner of death was officially classified as homicide, and the perpetrators remained at large in the streets, miles away from the crime scene, locked behind the walls of the Metro Metropolitan Detention Center, where he was fighting federal RICO charges that could put him away forever. Big U was sleeping when his whole world shattered into a million irreparable pieces. The news reached him around 1:30 a.m. on November 1st via his cellmate and co-defendant Loose Cannon, who'd received a contraband cell phone call from a family contact with the devastating information that no father ever wants to hear. In exclusive interviews with TMZ and Hot New Hip Hop conducted from the detention center using a smuggled recording device, Cannon described Big U's reaction as something he'd never forget witnessing in all his years in the streets and behind bars. Big U just froze, Cannon told reporters in a hushed, reverent tone that conveyed the gravity of the moment. He didn't say much at first, tears streaming, fists clenched. Then he whispered, "Not my boy, not like this. We're both shattered, man." Heartbroken and devastated doesn't cover it. Cannon emphasized their resolve to somehow find meaning in the tragedy that had struck. "We'll work through this together, even from in here. God makes no mistakes. It's testing us, but we'll rise." But those words felt hollow against the harsh reality of what had just went down. A father imprisoned behind walls, powerless to protect his seed, now facing the unimaginable grief of outliving his child while confined to a cell with no way to even properly mourn. Imagine that moment for just a second. Really put yourself in those circumstances and feel that pain. You're a father locked down, fighting federal charges that could keep you in the feds for the rest of your natural life. And you receive word in the middle of the night that your son, your 34-year-old son, who was trying to stay out the way and do right, who had a daughter of his own to raise, who worked a regular job and was just living his life, has been murdered on the same streets you once controlled with an iron fist. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it from behind them walls. You can't roll up to the crime scene and demand answers from the streets. You can't hold your family while they fall apart from grief. You can't put pressure on the streets to find out who's responsible or protect your other seeds from whatever might be coming next in retaliation. You're confined to a cell, utterly powerless, while your child lies in the morgue with 4 bullet holes in his body, and the whole hood is talking about it. That's the hell Big U woke up to on November 1st, 2025. Big U has not issued a public statement directly, constrained by jail protocols and federal gag orders that prohibit direct media contact while his case is pending trial. But sources close to the family told Rolling Out on November 1st that he spent the entire day in solitary reflection, requesting Bible passages from chaplains and a family visit that had to be rescheduled for November 3rd due to detention center protocols that don't give a damn about grief. Meanwhile, the investigation into Jabari's murder moved forward with methodical precision, but frustratingly few leads that could crack the case wide open. A $50,000 reward was announced by the LAPD's citywide crime reward program on November 1st, hoping to incentivize witnesses to come forward with information that could help catch the shooters and bring some justice to the family. Investigators collected 12 surveillance videos from nearby businesses, including crucial footage from a Chevron gas station directly across the street that may have captured the sedan and possibly even the triggerman. Forensic ballistics analysis was pending, with results expected by November 5th that could link the weapon to other crimes. LAPD South Bureau Homicide Division Detective Maria Gonzalez leads the investigation, which as of November 2nd, 2025, remained active with no clear suspects, no arrests, and a community that was about to explode with speculation and accusations that would make solving the murder even more complicated than it already was. But what investigators found most disturbing wasn't what happened at the crime scene, it was what was happening online in real time as the news spread like wildfire. Social media commentary began analyzing every angle with disturbing speed and zero compassion for the deceased.
Big U's son has been taken out. If you don't know who Big U is, just a simple Google search would suffice. Big U allegedly had something to do with the killing of Nipsey Hussle, even though that's never been proven.
The speculation was already connecting dots that may not have existed in reality, building narratives around unproven theories that had been circulating for years, and setting the stage for what would become one of the ugliest displays of internet cruelty and disrespect the hip-hop community had seen in years. When the internet celebrated murder as karma. Within 90 minutes of the first LAPD scanner alerts hitting social media platforms around 11:45 p.m. on October 31st, Jabari Henley's murder had already transformed into something far more sinister than a homicide to be solved. It had become digital entertainment, a referendum on his father's alleged sins, and proof to thousands of people that cosmic justice had finally been served through street justice. X saw an initial surge of 2,500 posts referencing Big U Son by midnight, a number that would explode to 15,000 by 6 a.m. on November 1st, as the story spread across time zones and continents like wildfire through the internet. Hashtags like Jawin Big U Henley and Baby Y were trending locally in Los Angeles, hitting the top 5 in hip-hop categories, while the Nipsey Karma, a particularly cruel and disrespectful hashtag suggesting Jabari's death was cosmic payback, accumulated over 4,000 uses in just the first 48 hours after the murder went down. TikTok became ground zero for the most disturbing and graphic content, with videos including raw bystander footage showing LAFD paramedics performing chest compressions on Jabari's lifeless body, circulating via anonymous accounts that had no respect for the dead. These videos, shot from nearby buildings and by people who prioritized getting viral content over calling for help or showing basic human decency, had accumulated 3.2 million views by noon on November 1st. Instagram Reels under Nipsey Hussle fan pages, accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers dedicated to preserving the Marathon clothing founders. Legacy, cross-posted clips and commentary that blended mourning for Nipsey with barely veiled celebrations of Jabari's murder, as if a 34-year-old warehouse worker getting smoked outside a smoke shop somehow balanced the scales of justice for what happened to Nipsey 6 years earlier in the same city. The mockery and straight venom came in waves, each more disturbing and disrespectful than the last. People who had never met Jabari, who knew nothing about his life beyond his father's name, and the conspiracy theories surrounding Nipsey's death, felt emboldened to pass judgment on whether he deserved to catch those bullets. At 12:07 a.m. on November 1st, a user posted video of the crime scene with the caption, "Retaliation for Big U's alleged Nipsey setup? Street war never ends." The post accumulated thousands of likes and shares, with comment sections filled with people connecting imaginary dots between unrelated events, building elaborate conspiracy theories about who ordered the hit and why it was necessary for the streets to get that get back. Another user at 6:47 a.m. posted with even more direct contempt and disrespect. LA let Big U walk after killing your legend Nipsey? Trash city. The implication was crystal clear, since Big U had allegedly escaped justice for Nipsey's murder, despite never being charged, never being mentioned in Eric Holder's trial, and having zero evidence connecting him to the crime. Jabari's death was the streets delivering the justice that the legal system had failed to provide. Never mind that Jabari was a different person who'd done nothing wrong to nobody. Never mind that he had a 10-year-old daughter who would now grow up without a father in her life. In the twisted logic of internet mob justice and street politics, bloodlines made you guilty by association, and surnames were death sentences that could be carried out at any time. Of 8,000 analyzed posts from November 1st through 2nd, a staggering 62% invoked Nipsey's name, treating Jabari's murder as somehow connected to or justified by events from 2019 that had nothing to do with him. Only 28% were neutral condolences expressing sympathy for the loss of life and respect for the dead, while 10% actively condemned the mockery and celebration, a minority voice drowned out by the tsunami of people who'd convinced themselves that celebrating a young father's murder was somehow honoring Nipsey's legacy and keeping his marathon going. One user captured the horror of what was happening, writing, "Don't care about Big U, but his son didn't deserve this." But compassionate voices like that were overwhelmed by thousands of posts treating Jabari's death as entertainment, as karmic retribution, as something to celebrate and joke about rather than mourn with respect. Some commentary provided insight into LA's volatile gang dynamics and why Jabari might have been targeted, regardless of the Nipsey conspiracy theories floating around. Those familiar with South LA's street politics understood the dangers of being born into certain families in the hood.
You know what I mean? This is f***ed up. I'm gonna be honest, bro, because even though, you know what I mean, his son claimed Crip, you know what I'm saying? That's what you seen him with Nip in the little reel, and you know that's what he claimed. I don't think he was like probably actively out here to people. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of born into it, you know what I mean? Because it's like your dad is Big U.
The analysis continued, painting a picture of a young man caught in an impossible situation, born into a world he didn't create, carrying a name that made him a target regardless of his own choices or actions in life.
They say he was going to a smoke shop. I don't know why he was going to a smoke shop over there, but you know what I mean? That kind of sealed the deal for him, you know what I mean? Condolences to him. Condolences to the family, you know, Big U, he going through his thing and he fighting a whole different battle. So I know he in there mourning right now, and it's just no parent wants to hear that their child, anything happened to their child. I don't care what, even if the child was doing bad shit or not. You know what I'm saying?
Social media platforms responded with varying degrees of effectiveness, but the damage had already been done by the time they took action to remove content. Twitter X suspended 15 accounts for doxing on November 1st, accounts that had posted Jabari's home address, his workplace information, and details about his daughter in a grotesque display of digital harassment that extended beyond death and showed zero respect. TikTok demonetized 200 videos for graphic content, removing the ability for creators to profit from footage of a man dying on the pavement, though the videos themselves remained visible and continued to spread through the platform. Instagram flagged 50 reels under hate speech policies, adding warning labels but not removing content that explicitly celebrated murder and disrespected the dead. It was too little, too late. The posts had been seen by millions. The mockery had spread like wildfire through the culture, and somewhere in a detention center cell, Big U was learning that not only had he lost his seed, but the internet was actively celebrating it as justice finally being served. Even some of Nipsey's own affiliates, and real ones, people who had every reason to harbor resentment toward Big U over the years of tension, tried desperately to pump the brakes on the ugliness consuming social media and the streets. Black Sam, Nipsey's brother and the executor of his estate, posted via Marah Records Instagram on November 1st, "Pain multiplies pain, honor Nip with peace, not this." It was a direct rebuke to those claiming they were honoring Nipsey's memory by celebrating Jabari's death, a reminder that Nipsey himself had spent his final years trying to break cycles of violence and bring peace to the hood, not perpetuate beef and retaliation. But rational voices calling for humanity and perspective were overwhelmed by thousands of people who convinced themselves that mocking a dead man and his grieving father was somehow righteous and justified by street code. LAPD reported a 22% uptick in anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers. 150 calls flooded in between November 1st and 2nd, with many callers specifically mentioning old beefs, Nipsey revenge, and theories connecting Jabari's murder to the 2019 shooting in elaborate conspiracies. Detectives had to sift through this mountain of speculation and street rumors, separating genuine leads from conspiracy theories and social media narratives that had no basis in investigative reality. The internet had become both a tool and an obstacle in solving the murder, providing potential witnesses while simultaneously contaminating the investigation with theories that led nowhere and wasted precious time. The broader context made everything even more volatile and dangerous. Some observers noted the treacherous timing and escalating tensions throughout Los Angeles that had been building.
If you know what's going on, right? If you in LA, or if you be in LA, or if you know what's going on in LA right now, it's some shit going on. Just look at all the shootings. Look at the people that was involved in the shootings, or the alleged groups, and all these fucking shootings that's been going on this year, probably this summer, starting this summer. It's been turned up, bro. And it's kind of like, even though there's a lot of peace pushing going on, it's a lot of coexisting with different gangs and sets and some shits have generational history, bro. So even if be docile a little bit, all it takes for is something crazy to happen or somebody else to get hit, and then they're gonna tit for tat.
As of November 6, 2025, no arrests have been made in Jabari Henley's murder, and the streets remain hot. The investigation remains open and active, with LAPD detectives still processing surveillance footage, conducting ballistics analysis, and interviewing potential witnesses who might know who pulled the trigger. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.